Hey everybody, what's up? Haven't done a portfolio review in a while, so decided to do one today. Plucked one out from my inbox, which is just overflowing with the portfolios that you guys are sending me. Sorry that I can't reply to everybody. Pulled one out from Yasmin Morad, design student in Egypt. Thought that would be interesting. She has a Behance portfolio. Let's check it out, see if we can do something helpful with a feedback. So this is Yasmin's portfolio. This is the general overlook of what I'm seeing when I'm opening it up. So before we dive into any of the work, first of all, you know what? I want to start with what I always say when I review people who only have Behance portfolio, which is I don't have too much context into who you are. There's nothing personal here. When you have your own website, there's always a way for you to properly introduce yourself, tell me a little bit about who you are, what's unique about you. Here, I'm only going to be judging the work, so that's what I'm going to be talking about. But mind you, you might want to consider having your own website specifically for that. Back to the work, even before I go into any of them, I can see that there's a variety of different subjects here. So first one is coloring book cover, second one is on-demand app design, and then another one is a branding identity, then a sketchbook and illustration. And so it's kind of mixed around. It's not very clear if she's specifically a designer for something or if she's aiming for a particular type of a job, which I guess, you know, when you're a student, you're experimenting with a lot of different types of projects, which is okay. You want to put them in your portfolio. I understand this, but I'm just giving this feedback because I assume that, you know, Yasmin is asking me for feedback for when she's going to be presenting her portfolio to get some kind of a work. So when you're aiming for a specific type of work, whether it is you're looking to work in a branding agency, or if you want to work as an illustrator, or if you want to work with tech companies on app design, you have to have kind of a narrow focus so that I can see an expertise around something in particular. Now that I see a lot of different types of things, it's really hard for me to know what's your strong suit, what you're passionate about. So even though the work is kind of variety, I can see just from the cover images that I guess, Yasmin, you have a big passion for illustration, and the colors, I can see that kind of repeating itself in a lot of the work. So I'm not sure if you want to focus on illustration, but if that is the case, I would kind of position yourself and try to select work that are strong in that specific case. And if that's the case, maybe you don't need to showcase an app. If yes, yes, no, no. Let's jump to a few of them and see. So let's check out the app design. So this is on-app simple delivery app where you create a request and get delivery for the company. And this is, I guess it's the logo. I don't know if it's supposed to say on the logo or just circle and kind of play. But then you have this kind of like an, I guess it's, I don't know if it means this pattern to look like something like of a map. Kind of reminds me of the Uber app when you're asking for an Uber. Maybe that's the inspiration, or some kind of a technical, you know, tech pattern. But when I look at these screens, you know, a background image might be a good fit in one of these screens, like an onboarding screen. But when I get into practical screens like login screen, in that case, I would actually feel like the background is hurting me a little bit. Maybe it would be awesome to see pattern a little bit just from the top and bottom, but putting pattern all over where you should actually be reading or putting in input text, that's a little bit confusing. I might try to clear that up a little bit just in terms of, you know, trying to make this more, I think you can really see this here. Okay, here you've kind of solved this by blocking the content in a white rectangular that kind of makes this more clear while the background is hidden. So this, I feel, looks much better. Maybe you could have used the same solution here, because here it just looks a little bit more like a mess. But yeah, all right, that's a good start. Let's check out the Crystal Wave brand identity. So this is an electronic music festival held in Sinai, including brand manual. So this is the logo, I guess Crystal Wave. This is pretty literal because I see here a wave and it's kind of stylized like a crystal. So it might be a good thing to do kind of the obvious thing, because you're using the visualization of the two specific words to illustrate them in the logo. Sometimes that works, sometimes that's a little bit too literal. It's possible you have to make sure that you don't end up at a cliche where you're just illustrating the words without adding another value. In this specific case, because it's an electronic music festival, I kind of feel like there is something edgy with the sharp angles, so it might be actually a good fit. Now these, I always wonder, why do people put these in the portfolio, because I feel like this is just technical and it doesn't really show how you're thinking as a designer. But honestly, if I'm sorry, I'm picky, but I'm really looking into the details because I know that's like how hiring managers do that, and I hope that I hope that it's being useful. But when you're really looking here on the pixel perfect level, I can see that those blue lines, which kind of should be marking the space and the grid, they're not really accurate on the grid. So that kind of like, you wanted to show that you're very on the grid and everything is calculated, but then doing this offline and not aligned kind of shows that you're not exactly pixel perfect. So that might be, I would either fix this or take this off completely. As I said before, I don't feel like this is benefiting you, showing that you can, show a black and white variation. That doesn't, I don't think that's like the thing that's going to make me think, wow, she's a good designer because she can do like positive, negative of the logo. Show me how you think. Show me your references. Show me your mood board. That will kind of lead me into understanding how you think, how you work. Show me kind of the process, your inspirations. I think that would help me understand who you are as a designer rather than showing me black and white. But coming back to those blue lines, if you choose to show that, do that perfectly. Like, I'm not even sure why this kind of blue bar is on the typography and also not fully aligned, so the margin. So I'm not sure. This is more actually confusing than helping me understand, kind of. And then this is here the same. I feel like this is not super helpful. I would rather, let's go down here. Yeah, I would rather you skip right into this, where you show me like how you're going to be using the brand creatively. This is what I'm talking about, because here I can see like how you think as a designer, and that does look pretty cool, pretty, I guess, hipster. So that's nice. I would start with this, and those are nice composition, nice mock-ups. So this is nice. I think maybe you should switch the order around. Start with the powerful visuals, and then maybe go to the technical brand manual at the end. Plus, again, as I said, I would really love to see kind of thought process in general. I'd love to see that when talking about branding. So see how you think as a designer. Then there's all these hand illustration, which is cool. It just basically shows the style which you like to illustrate. So that's good to know if you want to be an illustrator. But again, this looks very different from this one, which just looks like like graphic design, proper graphic design. So again, as I said in the beginning, I think you should focus on where you're trying to be, because it's hard for me to understand if you're this free-spirited illustrator who likes to do crazy stuff with lots of colors, or you're this graphic designer who can do like perfect layout with like minimal colors. So that's very different, and I think you should be mindful of what is the story that you're trying to tell the audience of this portfolio. All right, I think we can conclude it at this part. I have to say, I think it's a good start. It does look like a student's portfolio at the moment. So I think it is good because this is where you are right now. But if you want to break out above the rest of the students to create great opportunity for you, whether it is with getting your first job in an agency studio or something like that, or working, as a freelancer and trying to show your clients what you're capable of, I think you'll be better suited if you think about the end, like who's the audience of this portfolio, and then gear the works towards them. Good luck, Yasmin, with everything. Hope this was valuable for the rest of you guys as well. I'll catch you next week.